This groundbreaking sci-fi series was originally envisioned as a Western in outer space. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be taking a look at the history of Star Trek. Introduced to American television audiences on September 8, 1966, the original Star Trek series was developed by TV producer and scriptwriter Gene Roddenberry. The series showcased spectacular special effects and a utopian view of the future.
We prefer the ways of peaceful contact. I speak for a vast alliance of fellow creatures who believe in the same thing. We have sought you out to join us.
It also successfully merged thought-provoking science fiction with the more dramatic and thrilling elements of westerns, which were incredibly popular at the time. In fact, Star Trek was originally pitched as a wagon train to the stars. The show aired for 3 seasons before being abruptly canceled. In that time, the crew of the USS Enterprise embarked on a 5-year mission into the vastness of space to explore new life and new civilizations to boldly go where no man has gone before. While it didn't attract a large audience in its original run, it developed a loyal fan base that gravitated towards the show's 3 main characters. These included the charismatic Captain James T. Kirk, as portrayed by William Shatner, his logic-based Vulcan science officer Mr. Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy, and the irritable Dr. McCoy, as depicted by DeForest Kelley.
There's just one thing, Mr. Spock. You can't tell me that when you first saw Jim alive that you weren't on the verge of giving us an emotional scene that would have brought the house down.
Merely my quite logical relief that Starfleet had not lost the highly proficient captain.
Yes, Mr. Spock, I understand.
The show distinguished itself from anything else on the air as the rest of the crew was portrayed as diversely multicultural. A few of these characters included the ship's engineer Montgomery Scott, the communications officer Uhura, and the navigation officers Sulu and Chekhov. Star Trek posed a uniquely positive view of the future, with all humans coming together regardless of origin or ethnicity to explore the universe. This diversity even led to television's first interracial kiss. Following the show's cancellation in 1969, fans banded together to petition for the return of the short-lived franchise. They were successful, and the original series received not just 1, but 6 motion pictures between the years 1979 and 1991.
It is the judgment of this council that you be reduced in rank to captain, and that as a consequence of your new rank, you be given the duties for which you have repeatedly demonstrated unswerving ability, the command of a starship.
At the same time, the growing popularity of Star Trek allowed Roddenberry to release a spin-off TV series called Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987.
Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
This show took place 80 years after the events of the original and featured an entirely new crew. The Next Generation also introduced a much larger Starship Enterprise that was filled with a huge federation of officers, civilians, and scientists. This team was led by Patrick Stewart's rational and more diplomatic captain, Jean-Luc Picard, and consisted of his Canadian First Officer William Riker, android science officer Data, blind engineer Geordi LaForge, Klingon security officer Worf, Dr. Beverly Crusher, her son Wesley, and the telepathic counselor Deanna Troi.
Close your mind to the pain.
Unhappiness. Terrible despair. I don't know.
Keeping in step with the show's increased enthusiasm for strong female characters, film star Whoopi Goldberg appeared as the ship's wise alien bartender, Guinan. Following the show's impressive 7-year run on TV, it landed in syndication.
Some problem, Riker? Just hoping this isn't the usual way our missions will go, sir. Oh no, number 1. I'm sure most will be much more interesting.
The crew also embarked on 4 of their own feature film adventures, with the first bringing back several characters from the original series to officially pass the torch to the next generation.
Millions of lives are at stake.
You say history considers me dead. Who am I to argue with history?
You're a Starfleet officer. You have a duty.
I don't need to be lectured by you. I was out saving the galaxy when your grandfather was in diapers.
Meanwhile, the franchise saw several spin-offs emerge and compete for airtime. These included the space station-based show Deep Space Nine, the Lost in Space formatted Star Trek Voyager, and the unpopular prequel series Enterprise. In an ironic twist of fate, Enterprise was cancelled in a similar fashion to the original 60s series, and this appeared to signal the end of the franchise.
Archer to the bridge!
Lieutenant Reed, sir.
What the hell's going on?
The dwindling audience felt the market had become oversaturated with a never-ending barrage of Star Trek media. Viewers also marked a noticeable dip in the quality of storytelling. 4 years after the cancellation of Enterprise, director J.J. Abrams was brought in to helm an all-new motion picture with a fresh direction and cast of actors. The result was 2009's wildly popular and unique Star Trek. This thrilling franchise reboot centered on the early years of the original Trek crew within an alternate timeline.
James T. Kirk was considered to be a great man. He went on to captain the USS Enterprise. That was another life. A life I will deprive you of, just like I did your father.
An iconic and groundbreaking science fiction franchise, Star Trek remains beloved by its passionate fan base and continues to tell gripping stories decades after redefining and modernizing the science fiction genre.
These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Her ongoing mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life forms and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.